Hi, I'm Dr. Kate Altizer, and I teach piano at Colby College in Waterville, Maine. I'm also a musicologist, and I've prepared this two-part video on the life and work of Welsh composer Grace Williams for the DuPage Symphony Orchestra. This is part 2. You can hear her concerto for trumpet and orchestra performed on the May 18th concert of the DuPage Symphony Orchestra, Modern and Melodious. Tickets are available at dupagesymphony.org. After graduating from the Royal College of Music in London, Williams worked multiple jobs to fund her composing, including at the BBC, specializing in educational programming, as well as at various educational institutions for young women. Some of her works were published by Boosey and Hawkes and received premieres and radio broadcasts. In the 1940s, poor health and the effects of war forced her to return to Barry, where she benefited from new musical infrastructure developed since her departure as a young woman off to college. The BBC Welsh Regional, or BBC Welsh Orchestra, as well as access to an opera house, meant more performance opportunities for her work. She wrote radio scripts, film music, earning the distinction of being the first British woman to write a score for a full-length film, Blue Scar in 1956, and taught part-time. Most of her concert works during this time were uncommissioned, meaning that she was writing to write, rather than writing with the assurance of being paid for it. She expressed frustration at being so busy that she was only able to write in, quote, snippets. She gradually became known as a freelance composer and earned more commissions, producing some of her best-known and respected works during this time, including her Second Symphony in 1956. In 1955, the National Youth Orchestra of Wales commissioned and premiered Panylion for orchestra, and this work kicked off a new phase of artistic work for Williams, as she began leaning into her Welsh musical heritage in a new and individualized way. Panylion is an ancient Welsh singing practice in which a harp repeats a song in verses as an accompaniment to improvisations on the tune by a singer. Williams' Panylion foregrounds the harp in the orchestration and maintains a verse-like structure and improvisatory-sounding lines and solo instruments. Her rhythms also echoed stresses in the Welsh language, and many of Williams' pieces after 1955 could be characterized as national due to this influence of Welsh singing and language, which I'll explain a bit more in my video about the trumpet concerto. Williams died in Barry in February of 1977. She spent much of her career feeling that her accessible music might have seemed old-fashioned, and she often expressed feelings of musical isolation not only from younger composers, but also her peers. But it is important to note that her resistance to modernist composition was a choice, rather than an inability to engage. Williams sought out new music throughout her life, attending a course at age 66 in 1972 on the topic of electronic music, hoping to explore new ways of incorporating the sea into her music, a theme that she'd been interested in throughout her career. She mentored younger Welsh composers and by all accounts was more eager to talk about their music in casual conversation than to discuss her own. Toward the end of her life, she stated, quote, "I have avoided things which were wrong for me, because it was not melodically suitable. But remember, every composer has his own series of notes which form his own idiom." Be sure to check out my video on Williams' Concerto for Trumpet and Orchestra, which you can hear live on the May 18th program of the DuPage Symphony Orchestra.